Hello, one and all, and welcome to the podcast. We call it the Fantastival with myself, Steve Nussbaum. In the podcast, I invite my guests to come on and talk to me all about their musical taste, their memories, their experiences, and they get to collect their fancy festivals, which I have christened Fantastivals. I hope everyone is well as you're listening to this one. I just want to say a shout out to my last guest, Mark McGowan, who was on the podcast for episode 164. A very important episode around mental health, and he spoke so passionately and so knowledgeably about music. It was a pleasure to have Mark on. So thanks, Mark, for coming on to the podcast. So that was 164, and this episode is 165. And I'm finally delighted to introduce someone who I've been trying to get on the podcast for a good while, and we finally got him. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted. It's guitarist and vocalist for the excellent The Real People. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Chris Griffiths.
Now then, kidders. All right,
mate, Chris, I'm so happy to have you on. Before we talk about music that I always love to do, and I'm so excited to talk to you about The Real People and your musical tastes and influences, I always like to ask people how they are from like a mental health perspective. I think it's really important we ask that question. So to start off with, Chris, how are you, mate?
I'm okay, mate. I'm all right, actually. I've had a few ups and downs. I've got this studio, but still a big revamp for this studio. And it was ups and downs where I spent all the money to finish it off. But eventually it's all up and running again now, hopefully. So, yeah, back to doing music. What it is, clears me head, actually. Get me head into something.
Yeah, and I can see I can see all the gold discs behind you and the guitars. It looks like a really nice setup you've got there.
Yeah, I've been here about 20 odd years, yeah. It hadn't been revamped. I had to touch your paint for 15 years, you know what I mean? So the kitchen where we have a little bit of parties and that was a little bit looking a bit tired I'd say at the present moment. But we just done a big revamp. Yeah, so made up with it. Looking
great. So let me take you back, Chris, to when you were much younger. Let me talk to you about your earliest musical memories as a child. I guess, what do you remember about being young and music?
Well, I've said this before. My dad's always been in a band. So when I was a kid, I used to sneak downstairs and he'd have a full band. We used to just live in like a terraced house, you know what I mean? And he'd have full band rehearsing, drums, bass, PA set up and everything. He'd just sit there and just be really excited by it, you know what I mean? Just sit there and say nothing and listen to them and all that. And then when I got a little bit older, I used to sag school and set up the PA and stuff like that myself. I used to give people stick walking past the house and all that. Shouting all sorts of obscenities and everything. And then, as I've mentioned it before in previous interviews and stuff, my brother and my cousin Diggsy got in a kids band, like a road show. It was called Hilda Fallon's Road Show. Again, it was really they opened up for comedians and stuff like that and all the social clubs and the big clubs in Liverpool, like the Wookie Hollow and Alison's Club and stuff like that. So they were a little bit of a touring band when Tony's 4 years older than me, Tiggsy must be 8 years older than me. So I was in awe of them going out and playing and getting paid for doing gigs when they were only 12, 13 and stuff like that, probably even younger. Do you know what I mean? So give me the bug a little bit, you know what I mean? And then I think I wrote my first song when I was about 12, 13. And I wasn't really a major big player, guitar and wise and stuff like that. I was more into me writing, and then the guitar and come with when I had to be the lead guitarist in the band. You got to become the rhythm guitarist in.
So I guess was Tony always the bass player? So I guess your inroad was actually having to learn a guitar, was it, or?
Yeah, well, Tony plays guitar as well. Tony can play piano and he plays guitar and he plays bass. He's a bit like a multi-instrumental, really.
And then I guess in terms of your first records and singles, can you remember what they were and buying them
my first singles. My first single was XTC. I think it was Sergeant Rock. And then I got into XTC and I started to listen to a lot of earlier stuff and stuff like that. Yeah, one of my favourite bands.
Yeah.
And I think at the time it was Madness and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Baggy trousers and all that. Yeah. A little bit of all that stuff. But mate, I was a little bit weird. I used to go through my mum and dad's record collection, and I'd always listen to the B-sides. Because I probably knew the A-side of something, so I'd always listen to the B-sides, stuff that I hadn't heard before. And yeah, that's my introduction to music, really. And then when I was about, 14, something like that, Dixie let me Steely Dan, Billy Joel, the Stranger album, Billy Joel, some fantastic songs on there. Stuff like that, yeah. And then eventually, when I started getting into like more like being in a band and stuff, started getting into like the Kinks, the Stones, always being into the Beatles. The Beatles have been a massive part of our family. Do you know what I mean? Always listen to them in the house.
So,
Mum and Dad more into the earlier stuff. We were more into like the more psychedelic stuff, really.
there's something for everyone, isn't there, in terms of the Beatles, whether it's the early or the late, you can find yourself in there. So I guess when did you start taking it all seriously, Lee? When did you actually think, actually, this is what I want to do and I think we can do it?
Well, do you know what? Tony has wrote a few songs when we were really young, and he got me in the band. I was playing rhythm and guitar, and we got a bit of like how can you call it? Like a growing deal. What did he call it? I can't really think of the words. We got a little deal with Polydor or something, and what was the question?
Just when did you when did you first think, like, actually, like, we can do this and we could?
Yeah. It was after we'd lost this little tiny like a production deal that we had, that like trying to get a band together. We weren't really a band, just so our kids had a few little songs. Yeah, it was after that split up, and me and Tony just started. We used to share a bedroom. We had a little he bought a little 8-track with the advance that we got and stuff like that, and we just started writing and rehearsing, and then just got a little bit of a band together. We've always been writing and always wrote songs and stuff like that. So I don't really know when it went too serious. It was as soon as we started doing lots of gigs and getting out and hanging around with other bands, actually, because that's a big thing. You can stay in your bedroom for ages and not realise how good you are. Do you know what I mean? So I was hanging around with other bands, and I think I've said this before on other things. We had our first studio that we had in rehearsal room. We actually sold to the Lars. And they just been signed. They were like big gang of scallies coming into our room that our studio that we built, and we had to give them the keys. And it's a good story about this because we give them the keys and we got like a bit of a check for like, I think it was still a good few years on the lease. So they bought the lease off us, and we ended up giving them the keys, saying, "Here's where everything is. Sound. See you later. Nice to meet you." And then we went home to my mum and dad's where we were still living, sharing a bedroom. And we were like, what the fuck are we going to do now? You know what I mean? No, because we went there every day, do you know what I mean? It's our place, our studio. So we just knocked back. We just knocked back on the same night and said, can we come in? We all got stoned together in the set. So they never got rid of us then for fucking months. Yeah, but that was really it. It started taking it serious when it started playing songs to other people and people going, wow, you wrote that? Do you know what I mean?
And then I guess in terms of, getting signed, I guess sometimes bands can feel like an overnight success. I don't think it was with the Real People, though. It took a while.
Yeah, as I say, we would always write songs from when we were about 12, 13. Then we got our first major deal in December 89. And then we all went away to Goa, to India, when the record company thought we were going to Wales to rehearse. We come back with some amazing tans and some crazy clapper. But we were in Wales. Yes, and then we recorded the first album, which come out in 91, I think. And
in terms of that first album, then, I guess it depends on what way you look at it. Were you surprised with how well it done? I mean, when I was reading it, shifted over 100,000, or it has since shifted over 100,000.
It was doing quite well. It could have done better. Obviously, it could have done a lot better. Do you know what I mean? It was ticking over, and we were just, because we were a growing band, we were just thinking, we'll wait till the next one. Obviously, you're disappointed you're not getting like big top 40s, but it was different them days. You know what I mean? I think the charts were a lot different them days.
Yeah, they certainly were. And then I guess the second album, I think it's quite well documented that you made a follow-up album, and the record label were like, this isn't going anywhere.
What it was, the record label, the first album was taken off in America, so we went over to tour America. But we were touring the first album in America while we were recording the second album in England. We come back from America and all the record company had changed. So there was Muff Winwood, there was Steve Winwood's brother. He was like one of the people who signed us. He'd left or he'd retired. There was a woman called Diane Young, who was our A&R person. She left the job. So just all the personnel had all changed around. So when we come back, and we hadn't really seen us, we hadn't been gigging in England for a bit, it was like, well, who are these? And this album's cost a hell of a lot of money because there was orchestras on it and all sorts of stuff, you know what I mean? The producers have been doing all sorts of things while we were away. And he just looked at it and thought, well, listen, it's going to be too much to recoup. So we just put it down as a bit of a loss. And they let us go.
And then from there, you went and thought, we're going to do it ourselves, right?
Yeah, from there, we done the Oasis stuff and all that. Because we met Noel when we were touring with the Inspirals when we come back from America, and we just finished recording Marshmallow Lane, which was the second album. Yeah, I forgot what I was fucking going on about.
I guess I had a bit of an Oasis question a bit later, but you've mentioned it, so I think it comes in nicely. So, yeah, the whole Oasis relationship, like obviously you met Noel before Oasis was signed, and you helped them craft themselves. I think it's probably best to say.
Yeah. Well, he comes down. We met him at the Noel was the road for the Inspiral Carpets. Me and Noel got on really well. Started becoming mates. Said he was in a band with his brother. We met Liam at a few gigs and stuff, and see them rehearse. Thought they were okay. Got them down to our little studio, and yeah, just running through songs and going, well, maybe just do one chorus there, maybe try swap that bit around, stuff like that. They were playing live in the room at the time and stuff like that. So yeah, we had them bits and bobs with it.
And you did you co-write Rocking Chair, or you had something?
Yeah, there's 3 songs that I was really involved in. There's a lot more little bits and stuff like that all over the show. But Columbia was an instrumental when they started recording that. It had no words or no melody, and I come up with the first verse and the melodies for the first verse. Liam come up with the chorus. Noel wrote the second verse, and I wrote all the little ad libs at the ends and all that. Like, come on, yeah. I wrote all of them. So it's all documented on the computers and that, on the reel to reels that we've still got.
That's incredible. I guess you must be really proud that those songs are so part of British culture.
Well, that was the thing. If I would have got a credit on it, it would have been even better. But I think everyone in the music industry knows now. And we just don't want to become across it as moaning about it, because every time we do an interview or something, it always comes up, and it always we're not bitter about it at all. Do you know what I mean? I could have done with the money, but I was called settlements at the time when they were massive and we were skint. So that was it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But there was Rockin' Chair, which was just an old song of mine, which Noel took and put his own twist on it. Really, man was like, I think he took the verse and wrote the chorus over it. And then there was Don't Go Away, which was just a complete lift from our song Feel the Pain. They use our bridge as their chorus, more or less. Yeah. But as I say, that's been in the past. We spoke about it many times, and well, it's a good job that we do speak about it, because otherwise not a lot of people know about it, real people. Yeah. Because we weren't that big at the time, do you know what I mean? So it has helped us in a lot of sorts of ways, and I just like to tell everyone that we're not bitter about it at all. Do you know what I mean? You just got to get on with your life. I could have just done with my name on the stuff that I've done, especially and Don't Go Away, considering they were like what it was in the end. They just put our name on Rockin' Chair because it was only a B-side of a single. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that was their logic. But give them a B-side of a single, give them a bit of dosh and a credit on this one, and to shut them up, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then we'll just say nothing about them other 2 that were major hits. So Don't Go Away was just massive. And it was only years later when I'm thinking, well, if I would have had that money, I wouldn't be here now, do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's very true.
That's very true. I guess these days it's easy for people to go back and go into another band, right? So if there's a kid who loves Rockin' Chair or Columbia and is doing their research on it and sees help by the real people, within 10 seconds, 15 seconds, they can be on Spotify, then listening to your music or any streaming service, and then helps
definitely
get your name out there.
It does help. It helps keep the name alive, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so second album did come out in 1996. What's on the outside? And say you released that through your own label.
Yeah, 20 years later, we got the rights back to the songs and stuff like that through the publishing and stuff. So we just released it on a very small, just on our own label, just through a distribution, everything that you can get at, all about the real cool stuff on Townsend Music. Yeah, Bruce McKenzie's a friend of ours, and he just said, well, what's going on with your back catalogue and stuff like that? He said, I don't know. He said, yeah, we'll start put it all out for you. And they're a great little company. Well, they're a big company now.
Yeah, they're a great company. They do really well. And since, I guess, then, you've also had the last album, I guess, Monday Morning Breakdown, so still releasing, or had released new material.
Yeah, there was another album before that called Think Positive. I think that was 2010, I think. Yeah. And then Monday Morning Breakdown. Both of them albums were recorded in the studio. Yeah, I think some of the songs are just getting we're maturing, not just maturing, right? as you can look at us, as you can see, but the music is maturing, the songwriters writing's maturing, and I'm just getting for the better.
Yeah, I mean, that's always going to happen with age, right? People mature, they write about different things, and it's always nice to see where artists and bands take themselves.
Yeah, and it's just crafts that you've learned with all the producers that you've worked with over the years that you never forget, and we can do ourselves now, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad to say the Real People are still very much going. You've got an exciting couple of months coming up, right? So on Friday the 31st of May, on Saturday the 1st of June, you're doing 2 nights at the Fantastival in Liverpool.
Yeah, it's a new little venue, a very, very intimate venue, and it's a real good mate of ours. People who used to be Space's tour manager and Space's merch seller, Shelley and Lee. They've taken over this little bar, and they've just got asked all the mates at the moment to do an acoustic night, just to get the bar up and running and stuff like that. But it's going to be great. I think it's only about 30, 40 people a night, and it's just like us, someone coming down to your living room and singing these songs to you. It's going to be totally unplugged with me and Tony. It's just going to be, well, obviously the guitar's going to be plugged in.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It's going to be like acoustic, and I don't think we're going to be. Usually we've done like unplugged things before, and we've had like a piano player and someone playing a con or a bit of a guitar player or something. This is just going to be me and Tony playing the song.
That's going to be lovely. Going to throw are going to be like a few surprises in the set then?
Yeah. Well, I'm over here today, like trying to relearn some stuff. There's going to be some unreleased stuff, some B-sides. Yeah, probably about an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes worth of stuff.
Amazing. So that's both nights have sold out for that one, but you are also going out on tour with the Real People, right? So the tour starts in Liverpool, if I'm correct,
yeah.
On 28th of September. It goes through Manchester, Newcastle, Birmingham, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Preston, Barrow, Leeds, and finishes in the London Islington Academy on the 8th of November. I mean, it seems like a pretty amazing tour. I guess how excited are you about the tour then coming up?
Yeah, very excited. And we actually finished the next week on the Shine On Festival. Yeah, which we've done a good few times. Our mate runs that. So, depends on how long we stay down there. It should be a good after party of the of the tour down there. Yeah, just absolutely made up to get back out. We're in the studio now. Once we've got all the old stuff transferred from this one computer to the other computer, we'll be working on new ideas, new songs and everything. Yeah, so really looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll have some new songs to play in the set.
Oh, that's really exciting. I'm sure that'll be a great tour. All those venues look like they're great venues. So I always like to ask my guest, Chris, what they're listening to at the moment. So whether it's new or old, Chris, what are you listening to at the moment? What's on your hi-fi?
Okay, I've been telling you before. I've been decorating the studio and the premises that we're in. My lad 17, he's been helping me, and he's been listening to a few Liverpool bands. There's a few Liverpool bands that we got one support on us last year on our Christmas gig, a band called the Kairos. Been listening to them quite a bit.
Band.
Another new band called Quayside. I'm hopefully going to try and get them on either at the Liverpool gig for this tour or maybe our Christmas gig. Yeah, they're really good as well. So there's two dead young Liverpool bands being listened to at the moment, Kairos and Quayside.
Great stuff. There's so much great music coming out of Liverpool. The Heavy North, who are also playing the same venue.
They've been asking us for some gigs, but they're about a 6-piece band and they're really, really good musicians. They're great fellas, got a great voice and some, like a little bit bluesy sort of thing.
Kenny has got a great voice, some great stuff coming out of Liverpool. That's fantastic. So this podcast is about you collating your fantasy festival, Chris. Are you a big fan of festivals? Have you been? I imagine you've played many as in the Real People, but are you a big fan of the formats and going out and seeing loads of bands in one day?
I'm a fan of being backstage. I'm not a fan of when it starts getting muddy and all that gear. We've done Glastonbury one year, and we were there supposed to be there for a few days, and me and our kids ended up going to the hotel and watched it on the telly. So we were supposed to be there, but we were around the corner in the hotel, and we just got smashed in the hotel and watched it all on the telly. Obviously festivals are great. Me and lads started going. He done his first festival last year. It was only Leeds, but it's just a great experience for people to go out and see that many bands, that different genres, and then even going and listen to dance music or going into like little rave tents and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a great thing, mate.
You mentioned Shine On to kind of last day on the Tommy. Shine On is such a great festival. Looking at this year's bill, obviously you're on it on the Friday. I think same like kind of Cooler Shaker headliner. But there's so many great bands at Sharn, it must be a real pleasure, I guess, to play that festival where, you know, there's no like animosity between any of the bands. It's just nice, laid back. It's always a great atmosphere there. It seems like a really cool festival.
Yeah, well, it's all the bands are a bit more grown up, aren't they? There's no really so it's great. And this year's a little bit different. They used to put you up in all the chalets, didn't they? In the actual on the Butlins thing itself. But this year, I think Butlins have pulled the plug on all the chalets, so all the bands won't be in the same place, which was quite fun sometimes. But yeah, we're playing on the. Let's say we're playing on the Friday.
I think it's the Friday. I think
we're playing on the Friday, but on the Saturday, the Echo and the Bunnymen are playing, and there's loads of Scouts bands playing. So I think we might hopefully stay down for the Saturday.
Oh, that'd be great. Be a great 3 nights. It's always great fun, Sean. That'd be awesome. So, like I said at the top of the episode, the Fantastival podcast is all about getting our guests to collate their fantasy festivals. So Chris gets to choose any 5 acts, one of whom must play one of their studio albums in full, and an encore, which can be any song that all 5 acts can perform together at the end of his fantasy festival. So very simple. 5 acts take 5 time slots. So you get an opening act, a Super Seconds act, a Midway Madness act, pre-headline act, and a headline act. But before we talk about your acts, Chris, we need to give your fantasy festival a name, and we need to give it a venue. So what are you going to call your fantasy festival?
It'd have to be the Real People Festival, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? People always ask me about the name of the Real People, and I just think you're a real person, you know what I mean? I think the name really suits us, you know what I mean? Because we are. And so the Real People Festival, we call it.
I like it. How long did it take you to come up with the name The Real People? Was it something that you always had kind of in your head, or were there discussions? I know there was the first incarnation, I think it was JoJo and The Real People, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just a mad thing. There was a program years ago. I mean, there was an advert years ago, something about this JoJo cable, right? Like a plug board or something. And it was a Frankenstein going, JoJo and the Real People or something. Because what it was, our Tony wouldn't get off of work one morning or for school. And my dad actually threw a pint of water over him. And he got up and went, JoJo, the Real People. And that's where it comes from. It's just a mad little way where it comes from. But that's where it comes from.
That's brilliant.
But
all right.
When he showed it down to the Real People and it stuck with us, I think it's a great name.
Yeah, it's a cool name. It's really good. So we've got the Real People Festival, and you can hold this anywhere you like, Chris. Big, small, local, not local, England, not England, wherever you want to go, we'll follow you for this festival. So where are you going to hold your fantasy festival?
Well, I'll put Bootle on the map, and I'll do it in the North Park in Bootle. Years and years ago, me and Tony, we actually done a little festival ourselves in Bootle. It must have been about 1990. I'm in this North Park where we live in Bootle. And we had a band called The Stairs, a band called The Vibes, The Tambourines, all just Liverpool bands, a band called Top. I haven't got the actual running list, but there was about 8 or 9 bands on or something like that. We put it on ourselves, and obviously we were headlining. So yeah, it'd be a reincarnation of the Real People's second festival.
All right, sounds amazing. All right, so we've got the North Park in Bootle. Okay, before we talk about your 5 acts, then obviously that's only a small amount of acts who you can get into your fantasy festival. Any other acts who you love, you just want to give a shout out to, who aren't gonna make it into your lineup?
Oh, that's the same. You give these like little questions, and it sounds so easy, but it's so hard to think. You know what I mean? And honestly, God, I was like, oh, well, that's a bit boring. I don't know what we're gonna do here. But I really don't know. Oh, well, I'll give our Ziggy's band a shout, the Sums.
All right, the Sums. All right, the Sums aren't making it into your fantasy festival, but 5 lucky acts are. So it's 2:00. The Real People Festival sold out. Lovely vibe there. Bootle is rocking. It's time for your opening act to come on stage, Chris. So who are you going to have as your opening act in your fantasy festival?
The opening act's going to be the Lars.
Great shout.
I've been listening to the Lars album every day while we've been in the studio doing the work and stuff like that. And it makes a feel-good album. I've been putting it on every single morning when we come in and we put our shit on to start decorating and stuff like that. It just gets me going. So I think it'd be a great opener.
It's just a perfect album, I think, isn't it? And I think the fact that they only ever made like one proper album kind of maintains that legend. They didn't do anything to kind of devolve it.
Yeah. There's all sorts of stories about it, why people don't like it and stuff like this. But I think it's amazing. And it's standing the test of time like anything. I really love it.
So you said they kind of took your rehearsal space or kind of purchased the lease and stuff. So did you get quite friendly with them then, or was it just?
Oh yeah. We were around here all the time, and then they used to give us some support. That's where we actually met our manager. We were supporting them on a place called the Harden House in Liverpool. They were doing a big gig there. It was like a big venue, and our manager was there to see them, but or he was out scouting bands or something. He was guy from Manchester, and that's where he spotted us that night and asked us if we wanted to the manager. And it took him 3 or 4 months to get us a major deal. It was unreal.
Unbelievable. All right, the Lars are your open act. They're going to play from 2 till 3. The Lars in Liverpool would be incredible, I'd imagine. So they're going to open your fantasy festival. Take a half-hour break. That'll take us to 3:30. It'll be time for your Super Seconds in, Chris. So who are you going to have as your Super Seconds act?
Super Seconds would be another friends of ours. I know it's a bit boring, a bit cliche, but it will be Ocean Colour Scene, because I just think they're great friends of ours, fantastic musicians, and once again their songs stand the test of time. And I think they've like opening up with riverboat songs, stuff like that. You know what I mean? I think it'll kick off the festival again.
That's a great shout. And I think did you support Ocean Colour Scene back in the day?
Yeah, we've done loads of tours with Ocean Colour Scene. They've also covered one of our songs. He covers a song of ours called Start of the Day. I think it was on like the 4th album or something like that. But really, really close. And Steve plays on Think Positive, plays some guitars on Think Positive. I was with Simon and Oscar on Thursday in Liverpool. They played St Michael's Church, a little like unplugged thing, just Simon, Oscar, and Leon, Oscar's lad. Yeah, so I was out with them on Thursday.
Oh, lovely. They've been doing their acoustics, haven't they? And that's really well. And then they are reconvening for a big summer. Kind of, they've got loads on over the summer, haven't they? It's great to see bands like that still going and they're still loved. And like you said, Riverboat song, as soon as you hear the deal, like, you just know, smiling.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and they're just real good friends and really nice people, you know what I mean? They've always looked after us. When we were on tour years ago, they took us on tour, they give us catering, stuff like that, which you don't usually get, you know what I mean? They give us a small fee, which we could maybe try and get some hotel with. They lent us their old tour bus, because they'd just gone from like doing like clubs and stuff like that, onto like having like a sleepover bus or a big bus and stuff like that. So they lent us their old little tour bus, which it's like a splitter sort of vibe. And we ended up crashing it. Well, I never, you know what I mean? The sound man who was driving at the time, he ended up crashing it. And we goes to the venue and all that. We're like, oh shit! And after that, we crashed the van. So we go and get Steve Craddock. I said, Steve, can I have a word? And Chris Craddock, Steve's dad, was the manager at the time. I said, listen, can we have a word? We've got something to show you. We crashed the van a bit. They were still running and all that. It got us there and everything, but I think we'd done like the side of it in or something like that. And Steve Craddock goes, I think it looks better. I think it looks better than it did. Brilliant. Yeah, so that'll be my second choice.
All right. Colour Scene. Great shout. Second time Ocean Colour Scene been picked for a fantasy festival. So they're your Super Seconds act. We'll take a half-hour break again. It'll be time for your Midway Madness act, Chris. So 2 acts down, an amazing way to open your fantasy festival. 3 acts to go. So who's going to be your Midway Madness act?
Midway Madness once again it's going to be the Stone Roses. We supported the Stone Roses in Liverpool Polytechnic. I think it was 1988. This was that early that they still had Cressa with them. Cressa was like dancing around with them, and he was I think he was actually changing all John Squire's pedals and stuff like that. But we didn't really know them. I think they were just touring the very first album. It had just come out. But just these cool guys from there's always big stigma about like Liverpool and Manchester and all that. That's got something to do with football, do you know what I mean, and stuff like that. When it's big down to music, you know what I mean, everyone's the same. But first time I met them, we had a really good time.
I guess when you heard that first album, did you have any? When you listened to that first album for the first time, did you have any kind of inkling what that would become, or when you were supporting them?
Well, I'd heard them, you know what I mean? We just got given the support gig and I hadn't heard them, and it just absolutely blew us away. But they were all just dead down to earth and all that. They actually gave me the job of going to score them some fucking weed as well. So, I did a hard job of getting them some weed. But it was a great gig. We were all smashed. It was boss.
Oh, amazing. That's great. It's great to see like the love for the Stone Roses still there. Hugely influential album that I think had its 30th anniversary just last week.
Yeah, it's unreal, isn't it? Well, it's what's quite weird as well. It's like now my son's 17, he's just starting his own bands and stuff like that. These are what he listens to. Do you know what I mean? And it's just brought it all back to me. I might be a bit bored saying the same acts that I'll talk about and stuff like that, but it's what I've been listening to and thinking, oh yeah. And we were actually talking about the festival. Thought yeah, it's second band down, want to be an opener. I want to be at doors opening by Stone Roses. Be fantastic.
So you've mentioned your son a few times. I imagine the fact you've supported the Stone Roses must put you on a fairly decent cool dad scale, right? So he can be like, my dad supported the Stone Roses. How cool is that?
Yeah. He loves it. Yeah. But we're like mates now. You know what I mean? He's 17 now, so he's going to be 18 in August. He's just started. I think he's got about 3 rehearsals into his first band. So yeah, I'm proud of him.
Oh, that's lovely. That must be really lovely. Keep an eye out to see how his band gets on. All right, the Stone Roses are going to play Midway Madness from 5 till 6. We'll take another half-hour break. And it'll be time for your pre-headliners, Chris. So, again, an amazing first 3 acts. Who's going to be your pre-headliners at the Real People Festival?
Right, this pre-headliner is the band that I want to do full album, right? There's a band from the 60s called The Pretty Things, and they were a little bit of like an R&B band, like a little bit of like a road runner sort of vibe, you know what I mean? Doing covers and stuff like that. That manager that I was telling you about before, the guy from Manchester, when we were recording our second album, well, even before we recorded our second album, he got us onto this band, The Pretty Things, but especially this album called SF Sorrow. He didn't tell me who it was. I actually thought it was like a Lost Beatles album at once. It was produced by a guy called Norman Smith, who's he worked with the Beatles and stuff like that. I worked with numerous other artists, but it's quite psychedelic, and it's that would be me album to be played in full, because not a lot of people know it, and it turn a lot of people's heads.
All right, okay, great stuff. So Pretty Things.
Sorrow by Pretty Things.
S for Sorrow. All right, I'll definitely. It's not one that I. F for Sorrow.
SF Sorrow.
Oh, SF Sorrow. All right. I look forward
to it. I mean, like. Have to look into it.
Yeah. I mean, the great thing about this podcast is that, you know, you sometimes hear of bands who you might not be so familiar with, like that album. So it's definitely worth checking it out. So that sounds like a fantastic album. So SF Sorrow.
It's been very influential to the Real People, that album, definitely.
Oh, great stuff. So Pretty Things make their first Fantastival appearance. So the first time they've been picked for a fantasy festival, which is fantastic. So 4 acts down, 1 left. Your headliners get 2.5 hours to play at the end of your fantasy festival, Chris. So don't leave us in suspense then. So who are going to headline the Real People Festival?
Well, who do you think was being from Liverpool and who could play for 2.5 hours and you know every single song? It'd have to be the Beatles.
Great stuff. So obviously you're from Liverpool. Yeah. Obviously from Liverpool, they're a massive phenomenon, not only in Liverpool, but obviously all over the world. So I guess, why do they make your headline act? I guess it might be quite an obvious question, but I guess what do they mean to you, and why they're your headliners?
Beatles is just music to me. It was just, I just can't describe it, you know what I mean? There's not one Beatles song that I don't like, even Ringo's, you know what I mean? even Ringo's tunes that you find yourself singing along to, do you know what I mean? Might cut it up like Yellow Submarine, like, but yeah, I've just been a major fan. For someone to have to play for 2.5 hours and to enjoy every single song, it'd have to be the piece for me.
Fair shout. Are there any songs that might be, I kind of guess, less obvious in their catalogue? Obviously, you've got the greatest hits, everyone knows kind of all the big ones, but any ones on the lesser albums or something you might go, oh, actually, I'd really like to play
I love things that were B-sides of when my mum and dad had. There's Blue Jay Way on, I think that's the George Allison song, on Magical Mystery Tour. And there's another song on Magical Mystery Tour called Flying, which is just a little la da 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 da. It's a little instrumental thing. It's a little groovy instrumental thing, which I love. Yeah.
Brilliant. All right. They're going to play those for you as well. The 12th time the Beatles have been picked in the Fantasy Festival realm, so I guess no surprise there. So they're going to play, like I said, from 8:30 to 11. Then at 11 o'clock, they're bringing back on stage Pretty Things, the Stone Roses, Ocean Colour Scene, and the last. So you've got an amazing stage worth of talent there, Chris, waiting, and they're all looking at you saying, what do you want us to play? So you get to tell them to play one song to close your Fantasy Festival. So what are you going to have them play?
I want to actually get up with them and do this one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, all right. Let's get the Real People on stage as well. Let's get
the people on stage as well, and we all get up and do Day Tripper.
Oh, great shout. All right, Day Tripper. I guess why Day Tripper for you then? Why is Day Tripper your song to end it all?
Yeah, well, one that we always get up and do it with Ocean Colour Scene, and I just think it should be a cracker festival finisher.
Yeah, all right, that is a great shout. So Day Tripper is your encore. So let's lock your fantasy festival in then. So we've got the Real People Festival taking place at the North Park in Bootle. We've got the Lars opening act. We've got Ocean Colour Scene 2 per seconds. Stone Roses Midway Madness. We've got Pretty Things playing, SF Sorrow in entirety, and the Beatles headlining. And for your encore, they're all going to play Day Tripper. Chris, that sounds amazing to me. I can see there's a big smile on your face, so it sounds all right to you. Happy to slot that one into our Fantastival vaults in?
Yeah, you can have that one, mate.
So that's into the vault. So I guess before we finish up then, I guess let's recap what is going on for the Real People then. So lots of live dates. So Chris, anything you want to share or push, the floor is yours. Let's have a real plug for what's going on with the Real People.
Just saying that we're back in the studio. Our studio's back up and running again. We're recording some new material. We're going through a load of unreleased material that that people may have not have heard, which we might be releasing as a side project of like unreleased 1, unreleased 2 throughout the years. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, we're back in recording some new ideas. I think we're about five or six new songs. No, I think probably more. About 6 or 7 new songs in. I'm still working on them and still writing as much as we can. So yeah, just look out for a new album, hopefully in the new year, and try and get to see us on the tour.
That's amazing. Great. So the tour, like we said, starts late September, rolls through to early November, and if anyone wants tickets, Chris, they can just go on most ticketing platforms right these days and find tickets there.
Yeah. It's all like through the O2 Academy and stuff like that.
Amazing, going to be fantastic. So how do people find you then? How do people keep up to date with all the latest stuff going on with the Real People? Let's give a plug for any social accounts, any platforms that you want to push, or website. Chris, where do people find you?
You know what? I wouldn't even know. Someone saw our social media for us.
So Chris, I've wanted you on the podcast for a long time. I'm delighted that we finally done this. How did you find coming on the podcast?
It was okay when I could remember what I was talking about. Like, I get a bit nervous doing things like this, you know what I mean? But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I think it would be a great little festival.
Yeah,
and it was lovely speaking, man.
Yeah, likewise. I wish you all the best for the future. I'm looking forward to trying to catch you on the tour. I look forward to seeing all the reviews and the photos, and look forward to hearing some new material from the Real People soon. Yeah. All right, so that is it for this episode of the Fantastival podcast, and thank you all once again for listening to episode 165. And if you've enjoyed this one, please subscribe. You can give the Fantastival podcast a review on iTunes. That'd be much appreciated. If you're not listening on iTunes and listening on Spotify, you can do exactly the same. You can give us a follow on Spotify. That number is really important to podcasts, so please give us a follow if that's how you listen. You can also rate the show, so 5 stars would be lovely, and you can also comment on every episode as well. So if you've enjoyed an episode in particular, please feel free to comment on the episode, and feel free also to recommend the Fantastival podcast to all your families and friends, as well as the Real People being on Twitter. So it's a Fantastival podcast. So if you don't follow us, make sure to hit that follow button on Twitter at FantastivalP. The pod is also on TikTok, so if you're on TikTok, give us a follow there. And if you're not on either of those but want to contact the pod, you can do so by emailing us at fantastivalpodcast@outlook.com. So that was episode 165. A massive thank you to my guest once again, Chris Griffiths from The Real People. Like I said at the top of the show, I wanted Chris on for a long time. I'm so happy I got him on, and you might have realised by now this is a pre-recorded outro. It's because there is no podcast next week. I'm taking that week off for the bank holiday on half term, so the podcast will return with episode number 166 on Sunday the 2nd of June. So have a lovely 2 weeks. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Like I said, great fun. Thank you to Chris once again, and please make sure to join me in on Sunday the 2nd of June. Have a great fortnight, but until then, stay safe, my Fantastival friends. Please continue to spread the good word, and that word is Fantastival. Thanks for listening.